Okay, got a thumbs up. All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of North Kawartha Council on June 2nd. And it's fantastic. We're live in the studio and we've got a full house today. It's wonderful to see so many people here in person. We have folks that are joining us online. And I just want to remind everybody before we begin, our meetings are recorded and they are uploaded to our YouTube channel. So that means that, members of the public can watch this at a later date and time. So I want to just let everybody know any comments, any opinions that are expressed during this meeting will be recorded. So just keep that in mind, okay? And I'm going to remind folks as well, my mic is on. We have the air conditioning on because it is a packed house, but I want to remind folks, anybody who's out of mic, to make sure to turn it on so everybody can hear, even the folks way in the back there, so you can hear everything that's happening. So, okay, and before we begin today's meeting, council would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, in particular, our neighbors from Kawartha Anishinaabe and Curve Lake First Nations. We recognize and honor the original people of this place we call North Kawartha. As duly elected representatives, we follow this Indigenous practice of acknowledgement to foster respectful deliberations, thoughtful collaboration, and wise decision-making in our service to this community. Right? Thank you. Okay, and disclosure of pecuniary interest. Is there any member of council that has any interest in any of the matters before us today? Seeing none, I'm going to move on from there. Adoption of the agenda. Kelly, I believe there are some additions. Could you identify them, please?
Yes, we had 3 additions. We included Peterborough County submissions for the statutory public meeting items for the proposed efficient plan and zoning bylaw amendments file 150P-25005 and zone amendment application zone amendment 0625. We also added the staff report authorization of absence of counselor and a correspondence for action item from the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing regarding Schedule 7 of Bill 119.
Perfect. All right, thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt the amended agenda, please? Moved by Ruthann, seconded by Jim. All those in favor? That agenda has been adopted. And now we get to do some official stuff and some fun stuff off at the beginning. We need to officially appoint our clerk and our deputy clerk. So Kelly, we got to make it legit here for this meeting. On up. Sounds here. You guys are gonna take pictures. Perfect. All right. Put your hand up. High five. Yeah.
I, Kelly Picken, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, execute the office of clerk, which I have been appointed in this municipality. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of partiality or malversation or other undue execution of such office. I have not by myself or partner, either directly or indirectly, any interest in any contract with or on behalf of the corporation, except that arising out of my office as clerk.
High five on that. Okay, next up. Practice.
A little bit more people than are normal.
I'll get a witness.
Shaking. Sorry.
Go.
I, Leanne Johnson, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially, to the best of my knowledge and ability, execute the office of deputy clerk, which I have been appointed in this municipality. I have not received and will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of any partiality or malversation of or other undue execution of such office. I have not, by myself or partner, either directly or indirectly, any interest in any contract with or on behalf of the corporation, except that arising out of my office as deputy clerk.
Hi. So now we can get this meeting started off right. Perfect. Wonderful. We still have some more fun stuff to do. It's always fun here. But after the appointments, just let me get onto my agenda. We've been going through a lot of changes here at North Kawartha, within the team North Kawartha, and I'm going to announce a few new folks and a few folks that we do recognize. And anyway, I'm just gonna get started right here. First off, Candace McFadden. Candace is joining the clerk's department as our full-time customer service representative. And Candace comes to us with an impressive customer service experience, and we look forward to having Candace a member of the team. Okay, and also in the clerk's department, we have Naya Davidson. Naya is joining us as our summer reception office assistant. Naya will apply her excellent organization skills and flexibility while assisting clerk, finance, building and planning, and roads departments this summer. That's quite a menu there. Anyway, welcome. And no stranger to us, Anna is our new part-time administrative assistant, customer service representative in the Parks and Recreation Department. I should have said Anna Kashik. I think people would recognize her probably from the old RBC branch in Apsley. Used to take our money all the time. Anna brings extensive experience in administrative support and customer service, along with a strong team-first mindset, and she's skilled at keeping things organized and managing multiple priorities. She will be the perfect complement to our Parks and Rec team. Welcome, Anna. And last but not least, the big guy over there. Please join me in congratulating Sean Tucker on his promotion to Parks and Recreation Supervisor. Sean joined the township in 2018 as Technical Services Coordinator with the North Kawartha Public Library. Then in 2023, Sean jumped over to Parks and Rec after volunteering and coaching with the Parks and Rec Youth, the spring and summer sport programming. Sean recently received his Certified Ice Technician Professional designation from the Ontario Recreational Facilities Association. And we are excited to see Sean continue to provide positive leadership and coaching to part-time staff while maintaining existing programs and seeking opportunities for new programs in this new role. Congratulations, Sean. All right, thank you for that. Thank you. You guys want to, I know you guys probably want to sneak out. Okay. So, and with that, I'm going to declare that we are going into a statutory public hearing. The purpose of this public hearing is to hear 2 road allowance applications, as well as an official plan amendment and a zoning bylaw amendment. Public hearings provide opportunities for members of the public to provide comment on these specific requests and applications, either in support of or in opposition to. It's very important for members of council to hear all of the comments and the points of view in order to make the best decisions possible. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our planning assistant, Bree, and she's going to take us through the road allowance applications. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council. The first item is an application to purchase an unopened municipal road allowance. Recommendation that following the input received in the public hearing, council consider passing the appropriate bylaw to stop up, to close, and to sell to abutting landowners or their respective nominees those lands and premises more particularly described in Schedule A. The applicant has applied according to the policies, guidelines, and application process to purchase 33 feet of the unopened municipal road allowance adjacent to their property at 226 Dock Evans Road. Subject lands part of road allowance between lots 15 and 16, concession 10, geographic township of Chandos and the township of North Kawartha, designated as part 2, plan 45R-17973, being part of PIN 28274-0236 LT. All posting and notice requirements have been met with the amended notice. To the time of this report, the clerk and I have not received any written submissions in regard to this application.
Okay, thank you for that. Now I would ask if the applicant or the applicant's representative is here, would like to speak on this. You don't have to, but
No, this time, Madam Mayor.
okay, perfect. Now I will ask if any member of the public is here to speak on this application, to provide any kind of comment with respect to this road allowance application. I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not seeing anybody online. For folks that are online, just you can just raise a little electronic hand and let me know if you want to speak on this. And I'm not seeing any indication from anyone online that they want to speak. So I'm going to turn it over to members of council. Questions, comments, or a motion? Jim?
Very straightforward, Mayor, I'm moved to approve the recommendations.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? Seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? That road allowance application is approved. Next one.
The next one is the adjacent property owners on the other side. So the recommendation is that following the input received in the public hearing, council consider passing the appropriate bylaw to stop up, to close, and to sell to the abutting landowners or their respective nominees those lands and premises more particularly described in Schedule A. The applicant has applied according to policies, guidelines, and the application process to purchase 33 feet of the unopened municipal road allowance adjacent to their property at 259 Spence Road. Subject lands is part of road allowance between lots 15 and 16, concession 10, geographic township of Chandos, and the Township of North Kawartha, designated as Part 1, Plan 45R-17973, being part of PIN 28274-0236 LT. All posting notice and requirements have been met with the amended notice. To this time of the report, the clerk and I have not received any written submissions in regards to this application.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. Again, I'm gonna ask if the applicant or applicant's representative is here. I see his little heads bobbing around. Good morning. Did you want to add anything or?
Not at this
Okay.
time, Madam.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, and again, I'm going to ask if there are members of the public that are here to speak on this application. This is your opportunity to do so. I'm not seeing any indications from anyone here in the chambers that wants to speak, and online. Is there anybody that wants to speak on this application? I'm not seeing any little hands go up, so I'm gonna go back to council. Colin,
Equally straightforward, I'll move the recommendation.
the other half. Moved by Colin, seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? That application is approved. All right,
Thank you.
2 for 2. Good for you. All right, and now with that, I am going to take us into the main reason why everybody's here today. We're in a public hearing and it's an opportunity to hear about an official plan amendment and a comprehensive zoning bylaw with respect to development proposal down in Woodview. So I want to do a couple of things first. I want to introduce some folks. We have our planner, Fort Simon from North Kawartha. He's here today. He will be presenting his report. We also have Melanie Menon, okay, from the county, because the official plan, the county is the jurisdiction. They have the authority over the official plan amendment. And online, we have Councillor Terry Lambshead. He is the mayor of Trent Lakes, but on county council, he's also the county council representative that attends all the OPAs throughout the county. Come on in. And so a couple of things. We've received a lot of submissions, and I want everyone to know today, no decision is being made today. This is an opportunity for you folks to tell us what your perspective is, positive, negative, whatever comments, feedback, suggestions, whatever it is. We are here to listen and gather this information specifically for our planner, because he wants to take all of the comments that are received, because he will be coming forward with a subsequent report with recommendations. So it's really important that you guys have the opportunity, and we have the opportunity to hear from you. So with that, I just want to get a show of hands of how many people actually want to speak here today. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, folks. What I'm thinking is, because I'm trying to be cognizant of time, and I want to ensure that everybody has a chance to speak, and I don't want to make it repetitious and say the same thing. I'm going to ask council if we can amend or just adjust our procedural bylaw when it comes to delegations and make the time limit 5 minutes, if that's okay. That to ensure that everybody has the chance to speak. We'll keep an eye on time, but I mean, I'm not going to try to, shut anybody down, as long as, I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity. So with council, can I get a motion that we adjust the delegation time to 5 minutes?
Could we just see how many?
Well, I saw there was about, I want to say there was about 8 or 9, but I also know we have presentations as well.
So there's 80 or 90 minutes. Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah, so that's why I want to just make sure, but like I said, like, we're flexible, we can make this work, but Dan, you'll make that motion, and seconded by Jim. All those in favor? Okay, so that has been approved, and I think with that, I'm gonna turn it over to you, Forbes, if you want to come up. Please use your mic, because there's a lot of people here and the air conditioning is running, so we want to make sure that we can hear you loud and clear. And no, we're not, you just asked if we can turn off the air conditioning. I will not. It will be just one big mess of a hot flash up here, so no, we're not turning off the air conditioning. I apologize. Anybody needs my jacket if you're cold, I'll happily give it to you. Good morning, Forbes. Thanks for coming.
Mayor, Council, it's a pleasure being before you this morning. The applications that are before you this morning are twofold, but it's part of a 3-application process. And so what I would like to do is sort of set the groundwork on what's actually before you and the related applications before we get too far into the report. Mr. Challenger has submitted an application for a plan of subdivision. That plan of subdivision process is managed by Peterborough County, and the decision on applications related to plans of subdivision are with Peterborough County. It's very similar to the way consents are dealt with. Consents are approved at the county level. The township's role is to provide recommendations and comments to county. It's usually in the form of a motion and 4 or 5 conditions. Plan of subdivision is very similar. You are to provide comment and direction to the county on the application of draft plan of subdivision, but there's more like 30 or 40 or 50 conditions. It's a much more complex, nuanced, detailed type of submission that you make to Peterborough County. And eventually those conditions get reflected in a draft plan of subdivision agreement that gets registered on title that's binding on successive owners. That's the plan of subdivision process. And the decision was made a number of years ago that there are no public meetings associated with plans of subdivision process. So that process has been initiated. People have provided comments to the county, and now we're going through the process of the official plan amendment to place the boundaries of the plan of subdivision within the hamlet of Woodview, as well as zone the lands appropriately in the township's zoning bylaw. In terms of the official plan, that is a decision that's also made at the county, and your role is to recommend to the county on whether they should support the official plan amendment, refuse the official plan amendment, or defer consideration of it for stated reasons. The actual decision that the township makes is related to the zoning amendment that's before you. And that's a detailed sort of depiction of the various land uses in the plan of subdivision, the residential component, there's a small neighborhood commercial component, there's environmental features that need to be recognized, and there's also infrastructure in the form of a stormwater management pond that need to be in various zones. So the public meeting that we have this morning is related to the official plan amendment and the zoning amendment. And I'm sure people will have comments to provide you, and they'll want to provide comments on the subdivision as well. And I appreciate that it's related, but we are really talking about the official plan and the zoning. The property that we're speaking of is identified on the map up on the screen. It's lands that are partially within the hamlet boundary and partially within the rural boundary. It's important for everybody to appreciate that the need for the official plan amendment is the result of the Peterborough County official plan not being approved by the province. It's been on the books now for 4 years. The Peterborough official plan looked at all the hamlets and villages and service communities within Peterborough County and made the determination as to whether certain hamlets needed to be expanded. And Woodview was one of the hamlets that was identified to be expanded in the new official plan. We've been waiting patiently for that to be approved. It's not imminent. And so as a result, the site-specific amendment that mirrors what the official plan for Peterborough County is doing is now before county council. And they have the approval authority on that type of matter. The actual property that we're speaking of is part of lot 6 and 7, concession 6 of Burley. It's a property that's 32 hectares in size, 78 acres. It has quite a bit of frontage on Northeast Bay Road. In support of the plan of subdivision and official plan amendment and zoning amendment, Mr. Challenger has submitted a very extensive package of professional studies and analysis. I think it's important for it to be on the record, Mayor. There's a planning justification report prepared by EcoView Consulting. There's a stage 1 and stage 2 archaeological assessment. There's a traffic impact study. There's preliminary stormwater management reports. There's a hydrogeologic assessment. There's geotechnical analysis, phase 1 environmental site assessment, an environmental impact assessment. And those various professional studies have been critiqued and peer reviewed through the county approval system. And then there's some responses to the various peer review comments that have come back. Typically peer review comments on traffic, geotech, and hydro-G are very, very common. The hydrogeologic assessment is related to the construction of wells and septic systems. And it becomes one of the critical pieces of science that's behind the development of a plan of subdivision on private services. In the province of Ontario, we have very clear sets of rules on how to develop on well and septic system. And so the engineers will carry out the hydrogeologic assessment, test various wells that have been drilled on the site, pump them out, get the characteristics of them, and then come back with a statement on the size of lots, the types of septic systems, and the types of well construction techniques to be promoted. That ultimately gets in the plan of subdivision agreement, but it's important for council and the public to appreciate that that engineering science has been prepared in conjunction with guidelines with the province of Ontario and peer reviewed by an independent third-party engineer to ensure that the methodology and the concluding statements are appropriate and in accordance with provincial guidance and criteria. The subdivision, I indicated to you that the subdivision will have various characteristics of it that relate to the zoning. There's going to be 58 residential lots being proposed, largely consuming the lands of the former golf course. There's going to be a commercial, neighborhood commercial lot proposed as well. That commercial lot is in the vicinity of where the existing golf course clubhouse is now. And then there's also going to be 3 open space blocks for environmental features, but also one is going to be for the stormwater management pond that's designed to manage the stormwater from the subdivision. That pond and that block will in all likelihood eventually become municipally owned and operated once constructed and the warranty period's up. And again, that's a detail that's spelled out in quite some length in the plan of subdivision agreement that's on title, will eventually be on title. The proposal does also have an internal road system with one entrance onto Northeast Bay Road. That road will also be designed and constructed to municipal standards, and it's assumed that you will assume responsibility for the long-term maintenance and operation of that road once constructed to your standards and once through the warranty period of that road. The, my planning report does, provide, some analysis in terms of the Planning Act and what the Planning Act says about plans of subdivision, official plan amendments and zoning amendments. It also provides a critique of, the provincial planning statement in terms of expectations for development in our rural communities on well and septic system, as well as the County of Peterborough official plan. I think it's important, Mayor and Council, to appreciate at this point in time that both the provincial policy statement and the county official plan direct the majority of growth and development to our existing communities, whether they be hamlets, villages, towns, or cities. That is where the majority of growth and development is to be directed. It also provides very clear understanding as to the types of information that must be provided to ensure that that development can be achieved as being sustainable on private well and septic system. And I do wish to sort of deviate one little moment on that point of well and septic system. I've done this job in rural Ontario for almost 40 years now. And one of the things I think that we do particularly well in Ontario is development on private services. We have very robust provincial criteria that must be met. And it's implemented by engineers and peer reviewed by engineers. And I can tell you for a fact that we do this well. There is not many places that you can point to in the province of Ontario where there are contaminated wells or problems with septic systems that are up to code. I wish to clarify that. There are septic systems out there that are problems. There are wells out there that are problems, but not modern new wells and septic systems done to code. Typically, we do that part of our development quite well. The zoning amendment that's before you, Council, one of the things at a future point in time that you may wish to consider is putting a holding provision on that zoning. And the holding would be removed once there is a draft plan of subdivision or a plan of subdivision agreement registered on the title of the property. That would be the point that you would be able to remove the holding should the project ever get to that point. So zoning it now is not a problem. I don't have concerns with that per se in terms of process, but I would recommend the use of holding just to be cautious to ensure that eventually development takes place when there is a subdivision agreement in place. We did receive some comments from First Nations. We've also received comments from the school boards, neither of which are of concern at this point in time. When I come back at a future point, Council, I'll have a recommendation for you at that point in time. It will append all of the comments we've received and be a record of the public comment and that we've received on it. And I'll critique those comments as well. And if there are any comments that need special attention or result in changes, we will have a fulsome debate and discussion about that at that time. The other thing that's in my report, and I think it's important for council to acknowledge, is how public notice was given today. I'm going to submit to you that you went above and beyond what the minimum is required under the Planning Act. There was notice to all property owners within 120 meters as prescribed under the Planning Act. There was a notice on the property for those that didn't get direct mail but could see the notice in the property. There was also notices to whomever had requested a notice in the past. So with the subdivision application proceeding, there have been comments received and people have made sure that we looped back with those groups. The notice was also placed on the county's website as well as the township's website as well. Again, above and beyond, but I think important to acknowledge. At this point in time, Mayor, I think that's the end of my report. The only thing I would ask of you and council and the public is that if verbal comments are given, that the people consider putting in written comments. Quite often verbal comments are subject to interpretation by me and the clerk. We may not always capture it 100%, but if we have a follow-up written comment, that's quite helpful and it's encouraged. I have asked in my planning report, council, that the comments be by June 19th so that they can be considered in a future report. If council feels that that's too short of a period or too long of a period, it's there for suggestions and you can make whatever determination you wish in terms of when to receive comments by. Recognizing that the public does have the right to provide comment right up until the moment the bell is rung and the council decision is made. But if they want those comments to be considered by myself and critiqued in terms of a recommendation to council, it's important that we get it at a certain point in time this month. Mayor, that's my report. I'm happy to answer any questions if there are any today or at this point in time or at any point in time during the meeting.
Perfect, thank you. Does anybody have it?
Just a quick one for people who aren't used to planning. You use peer review quite often in your thing. What exactly is a peer review?
That's a great question, Deputy Mayor. Thank you very much. So the way the planning process is set out in Ontario is that developers need to submit various professional studies when you're doing an application as complex as a plan of subdivision. So the hydrogeologic, the geotech, environmental, biological, all get reviewed by an independent third-party body selected by the county. So the county will have a stable of firms that are available to peer review studies when they come in with an application. And that's basically the public interest, making sure that the private interest is doing their job right and meeting spec. And quite often you'll see some tweaks to studies. And that's the power of that peer review process. So the process of an independent third-party review of professional studies under the township county, on the county side of the ledger is what I mean by when I refer to peer review. Does that help, Deputy Mayor? Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, there's a question from gentleman back.
Yes, I'd like to know where on the property that it was noticed, a notification put up for the public to see. I drive by the front of that property every day. There was no notice for anybody to know what's going on, except the fact that they might see no subdivision signs in the neighborhood, but they don't have a clue what's going on. Everybody is in the dark.
Okay, Forbes, can you respond to that, please?
Typically it's the applicant that puts that sign up and it's something I can defer to the applicant when they have their point in time. We can maybe wait until
Okay.
they have their chance before
Okay,
they make
there's-
it.
One more question in the back.
Yeah, my property right beside Mr. Chalmers' property. And that hydro, there was no hydro, but didn't receive anything in the mail, but this meeting I got years ago. From another gentleman who'd be here today, Julian Lake area. As well, right now there's part of my property that's my road going back, it's a fire road being flooded because the water that's not being pumped onto the golf course is flooding across. So the beavers looking after that. As well as, there, another gentleman that couldn't be here today, his well is now full. His pond is full because the lot of the golf course is not being watered. So how you're gonna get water for all those houses through heaps of rock and everything else? I can't see how it's gonna work properly. I have a subdivision where I am that was built prior to our moving in there. They've all got 5,000 gallon cisterns put in, they don't have enough water. They're also, 1,000 liter tanks in the back of the trucks they fill up. Every 2 weeks to fill up the cistern because they don't have enough gallons per minute and they can live with that. And not to mention the city, for the lakes has put $40,000 up to the new septic systems in after the original ones failed because there wasn't enough runoff. That's right beside the lake. So that's one factor statement I have for now.
Okay. Can you just identify yourself? I didn't like
Wayne Hogan.
Wayne Hogan, okay, just so Kelly has it. I'm going to get to sort of the public comments, we do have a presentation from the proponent as well. Yeah, so I'm just, yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, that's totally fine. But a couple of things. So Forbes, thank you, and I'm sure if there's questions, we'll go right back to you. But you did raise a point when it came to talking about submissions, and I want to make it really clear that verbal submissions have the same weight as written submissions. Like I don't want people to feel like you have to come to the public meeting and speak, and it carries more weight or it's more valid. A written submission is just as valid and important as a verbal submission here today. So I just want to make that clear. And just to reiterate what Forbes said, if you do make a presentation or speak today, if you want to jot down your ideas and email them in, that would be great, because Forbes will take all of that into consideration when he brings his follow-up report. So with that, we have EcoView Consulting here, Kent Randall. Good morning, Kent. You are going to be making a presentation on this proposal. So good morning.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I believe I got the PowerPoint ready to go.
Do Kelly or Keely-Ann, do you have, I remember the PowerPoint? Are you able to call that up?
You need 1 moment.
Okay. We're gonna get on this.
Thank you. So I can just start, I'll start speaking anyway and then we'll get to it, but my name is Kent Randall, so I'm the principal at EcoView Consulting.
Hold on one second. Excuse me, if you guys are gonna have a conversation, I'll ask you to just step outside, just because it's hard to hear. I don't wanna interrupt your conversations, but please, if you could just go outside, that would be great.
So thank you, Madam Mayor. So I'm principal at EcoView Consulting. We're the planners and the agent for the challengers. With me today is Eric and Diane Challenger. They're the property owners, and their son Chris is also here as well. Eric and both Eric and Chris are going to speak after me. So I'm not sure if that presentation is ready to go up, but yeah, sure. I just so that everybody can follow along with what I'm saying. I just want to thank Mr. Simon for providing that summary. I think it helps me with my presentation. It cuts it down considerably, which is good. Next slide, please. So just quickly, because Forbes already went over this, you can see the site location where we are. It's the former Woodview Golf Course. And Forbes did mention the portion of it being within the hamlet. And so he went over that. I'll speak to that a little bit more as well. Next slide, please. As I had mentioned, the challengers are the property owners, and they own and operated the Woodview. That's maybe you probably know, they owned and operated the Woodview Golf Course for about 10 years. And so they've decided to redevelop the site to plan a subdivision. Mr. Simon had outlined the specifications or the details of the subdivision, 58 lots. So I won't go through that too much, but 58 residential lots, 1 commercial lot. There's the stormwater management pond, and of course the road network, as you pointed out, would be assumed by the township. Next slide, please. This I don't think we've seen this yet. I've got it on its side because it's a little difficult to fit it in and might not be legible, but you can see north would be to the left. I've flipped it around. I think many of you have seen this plan before, but this is the plan of subdivision, the proposed plan of subdivision. You can see the road network, and basically the road connects to where the driveway to the former golf course was located, if you can picture it. And it goes back in and it occupies essentially the area where the golf course occupied. And that was done with consideration of the existing features. We didn't want to go in, and the challengers certainly didn't want to go in and have to clear cut a bunch of land, a bunch of forests. And it avoids the critical natural heritage features that are on the site to the east. And in that corner, as we can see there on the bottom of the page there, which is the southwest. Next slide, please. The required applications, Forbes have gone through this. The three applications, as you pointed out, OPA, ZBA, and plan of subdivision. OPA is essentially to reflect the changes that will be brought on by the county, the new county OP. The ZBA will implement the the residential zone, general commercial zone, open space zone, and environmental constraint zone. It's currently a rural exception 124. I believe that's to permit golf course and the existing residential use. There was a housekeeping amendment done a few years ago to clean up the zoning on the site. So that's all RU 124 now, but that will be changed as a result of the zoning amendment. Next slide, please. And the supporting studies, as Forbes pointed out, and they have all received sign off from the county peer review. I wanted to point that out because there were comments that were received, of course, from the peer reviewers, as Forbes pointed out. That's common. That's something that we see often. I've also worked on a number of rural subdivisions. The hydro G is of critical importance, as Forbes pointed out, because private servicing is such an important aspect to rural residential development. So that was peer reviewed. There were a couple of rounds of comments that were received, and the county's peer reviewers have signed off on that report, which means that they accept the conclusions of Camium, who's the consultant for the challengers, that accepts the conclusions of their hydrogeological study. And I should also point out, in terms of First Nation consultation, we have the consultation comments that were received that Forbes is speaking to, I believe, were from Alderville. And so we have actually consulted with Kirk Lake First Nation, who visited the site and bought the site with the challengers, and they don't have any concerns at this point. And I wanted to point that out. So next slide, please. Just for additional background, I just wanted to point out the length of time that this has been worked on. It's not typical to go this long for a plan of subdivision of this size, 5 years to this point. We started in earnest in 2021. And the challengers have been through a number of meetings with county and the township to discuss the applications, the required information that would support those applications. And then, of course, the consultants that were hired by the challengers to examine the site and determine if the site was suitable and could accommodate the 59 lots. So all that took place over the past 5 years. Also during that time, as you all know, the county OP was adopted, and we're still in this limbo phase. And it's frustrating for everyone. I know it's frustrating for the township. It's frustrating for us as planners having to work with this sort of straddling the line of the existing OP and the new OP. But what happened in 2024 was the provincial planning statement came into full force and effect. It replaced the former provincial policy statement. And the provincial planning statement allowed municipalities to expand or adjust their settlement areas without a municipal comprehensive review. So what that means is that you don't have to review and update your official plan to make that adjustment. You can do it simply through an amendment initiated either through privately or by the municipality itself. So that allowed us to do this sort of this implementation amendment is what I call it, to reflect what the township has already directed and adopted and supported in terms of the hamlet area. So the hamlet area needs to be expanded here. That's the OPA, but it is something that's been endorsed by the township already. So we're just simply reflecting that through the OPA. Next slide, please. So this is just what you see on the left is the current OP. So that's where the Hamlet area boundary is now in relation to the subject property. And so as you can see, it's about a third of the property is within the hamlet. So this area has always been identified for hamlet development. So hamlet development could be low density residential, typically with some, not as higher intensity commercial uses, perhaps some institutional uses such as the community center library across the street. And then you can see on the right, the new OP. So that's the new boundaries, the purple. It encompasses the area where the subdivision is taking place. Next slide, please. So we've had the opportunity, we've seen a number of concerns. Of course, we'll hear some of them today. But we have seen a number of written comments, and I echo what Forbes had said about written comments. We prefer them as well because it's just so that there's no confusion as to what people have said, and it just allows us more time to kind of look through them and respond. In my opinion, I believe that we have addressed the concerns that have been raised through the existing information that's been provided. As was mentioned, there's been a suite of studies that have been provided in addition to the Hydro-G environmental impact study that looked at all the natural features on the site, including species at risk, water courses, so fish habitat. All of that's been looked at and been peer reviewed. So we have the advantage of coming here now with peer reviewed studies, which isn't typical. Sometimes we'll come to the councils without that, where it's still in the process of being done, but this has all been tied up from a technical standpoint. So some of the things that we've seen, I'm trying to summarize them in sort of a broad manner, but we've noticed from the comments, these are taken from public comments that we've seen, but the impacts to Julian Lake, there were a couple of comments that mentioned Julian Lake being an at capacity lake. However, the development's well outside the 300-meter catchment area for an at capacity lake, and the 300-meter area is essentially a restriction on septic systems within that area. So no additional septic systems, no additional development in those areas, with the exception of development on existing lots of record. But in this case, we're well outside that ministry mandated area. And also there's no concern from the hydrogeologists as far as groundwater goes. And in terms of groundwater, hydrogeological assessment peer reviewed, as I noted, no negative impacts to groundwater quality and quantity. There's enough quantity there. There's more than enough. And the quality is good. And what I want to point out too is that Forbes had mentioned the draft plan of subdivision. There's draft plan conditions. He said 40, 50, 60. Could be upwards of that, could be more. Amongst those conditions, and this is typical with a rural residential subdivision or a rural subdivision, is that there's groundwater monitoring that's required as part of the development or subdivision agreement. So what that means is that residents in the area may voluntarily sign up for monitoring program done at the cost of the applicant. The applicant monitors the wells of adjacent landowners as construction occurs and as site preparation occurs and as wells are being installed. And that's to get a baseline in terms of where their water is at and if it's impacted at all by the development. And so there's a monitoring program that would be required as a condition of draft plan approval for this development. So that's an added level of sort of security or peace of mind for the township as this moves forward. Next slide, please. Traffic comes up often, and it of course came up often in most development that we deal with, but also came up quite often in the comments that we received. Again, signed off by the county's peer review consultants. It was done by TAPEM. The conclusion was that the intersection, the main thing that they look at is capacity of the roads, and they look at the main intersection with which most of the traffic would interface, and that would be the Northeast Bay 28 intersection, and there's certainly sufficient capacity there. I think we all know that there's left turn lane, right turn lane already there, which is great. That sets up well for new development, not just this development, but any future development in the area. But there is sufficient capacity, more than sufficient capacity. I know that there's been some comments about when the counts were taken. They were taken in September. That was actually a comment that was raised by the peer reviewer as well. Tatham did respond and noted that, so the peer reviewer noted that there is an increase. Well, first of all, I'll back it up. Traffic studies typically look at weekday peak periods. So that's 7 to 9, 3 to 5, when people are coming and going to work, school buses, that sort of thing. So the weekend traffic, especially in the summer where there's no school, doesn't necessarily impact those numbers. But despite that, the Tatham did account for that in a seasonal factor of 1.5. So they did raise the numbers in terms of their projections based on the seasonal factor. Also, Northeast Bay Road, we know we have traffic numbers from the county that there's a typical 15% increase as a result of summer traffic, the cottage-related traffic. The capacity is so large so big on those roads that it can easily be accommodated. So it's not even a matter of, even if you were to have a factor of 2 or 3, you could still accommodate the traffic that's coming from this plan of subdivision. And then another one that often came up was impact on the character. The main thing is that these are not, I think when you look at a plan of subdivision like this, you might think of a plan of subdivision in the city where you have, 3-foot side yards and, kind of cookie cutter homes. These are typical rural residential lot sizes that you would see. So I've got there, it's been 3/4 of an acre to 1.5 acres or 1.25 acres or so. They're large lots because they need to accommodate well and septic, right? So they're not your typical urban type of lot. That's one thing. The other thing is that this is located in a hamlet settlement area. So the idea is that there's going to be low density residential development into the future in this area. That's what the township has identified it for. And this is where that type of development would be located. So that it should be understood that would be part of the character, that's going to be part of the character of the area, will be low density development. The other thing that I'm pointing out here is that along that road, if you notice on that plan, that we have the one entrance in, most of the frontage along Northeast Bay Road will be intact. And all the trees and tree cover that would block the subdivision will remain there. So that also adds to sort of diminishing any visual impact that may be perceived from the subdivision. So you wouldn't necessarily see anything. You'll see obviously the commercial block, but most of the subdivision will be behind that area. So that does also add to minimizing any sort of impact that may occur. And in terms of the environment, as I said, EIS undertaken, thoroughly reviewed the site and immediate area. This includes the wetlands, potential habitat for endangered and threatened species, fish habitat, all of which will be protected. 30-meter setbacks are everywhere on that plan within blocks that will be protected under an environmental constraint zone. So nothing can occur there, no development can occur, and they'll be protected for the long term. And also that EIS was signed off by the peer reviewers of the county. Next slide, please. So the recommendation of your consultant, Mr. Simon, was that you bring us back to the date for a future decision. We understand that it'll provide time to respond to comments. However, we would respectfully request that you bring it back to the next available council meeting because we believe that we can address those comments thoroughly within that time. Of course, it's contingent on your staff as well. However, we do believe that we can do that. We'll obviously hear comments today. If something comes up that's critical, we'll attempt to address it as soon as possible. But given the amount of time that's and work that's gone into this, we feel it's appropriate to move it forward. We don't want this to sort of languish. We want to move it forward as quickly as we can. And so that would be what we would hope for, and we would respectfully request of council when it comes time for that decision. And that's essentially my presentation. And but I am happy to answer any questions that you may have or the public. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, so I'm just wondering, is there anything else with your presentation, or are the houses, are they going to come?
Yeah. So if they're,
Yep.
you can have them up there afterward.
Yep.
Well, good morning, Madam Mayor and members of council. Appreciate being here today. I just wanted to tell a little bit of a background story about our property, and because a lot of the technical stuff has been discussed today and will continue to be discussed. My name is Eric Challenger, for those who don't know me or haven't met, and I'm here with my wife Diane in the blue here. Our family has been part of the North Kawartha community as early as the early 1970s. So we've been around a long time from one perspective or another. Diane and I purchased 37 Northeast Bay Road in 2005. It was 302 acres in total at the time. Our intention at the time was to build a 9-hole golf course. Prior to that, in the early 1900s, the property was farmed, and it was only farmed at approximately 35% of the actual property that's in scope today. So the 78 acres that's in scope today, only 35% of that was farmed. The rest of the property was untouched. It's forest back in we call it the back 40. When we took possession of the property, it was in dismal shape, as was the house, as was the barn and the outbuildings. Diane and I spent, and others, I might add, spent several years righting the property in terms of the rubbish, leftover equipment, and repairing outbuildings to make it suitable and presentable to use. We spent a lot of time doing so, and we're very proud of what we accomplished in that. On top of that, a lot of people aren't aware of this probably at this meeting, but on top of that, we worked on 5 very comprehensive science studies through professionals to give us the opportunity to actually open the golf course. So what we're seeing and hearing today is the second round of studies that's been done on that property. So we had an EIS done, we had the water tables done. It was all done first time round. So I just want to share with you that this has now been stressed out twice to see if it's sustainable for what we're putting forward, and it is, based on the professionals. In 2021, Diane and I began our first of 3 pre-consultation meetings over a 3-year period with the county, with all appropriate parties. The pre-consultation provided defined framework that required for us to move forward. We hired the top qualified professionals to do all the studies. The comprehensive studies included 11 out of the gate, and each and every one of those studies were peer reviewed, critiqued, and in some cases came back for secondary updates and studies. These were all fully done and completed, and all of them was returned with favorable results. Keeping in mind, when we pursued this opportunity, North Kawartha Township has already invested in the hamlet area in terms of the fire hall, the community center, the park, the library. So it was a fitting place for us to be able to put this presentation and this opportunity forward, because it only makes good sense. Not that it's anybody's cares, but from our perspective, this didn't come without sacrifice. We spent a lot of money, a lot of personal time, and had a lot of consultants on site looking at this in a very, very detailed manner. So we're very proud of what we've put forward today, and it's comprehensive. There's nobody in this room. There's nobody in this room that appreciates that property more than Diane and I. So it's not done, out of malice or anything else or greed. It's an opportunity to expand the community, and it's done in a well-practiced manner. The one last thing before I close. One of our consultants that were on site, their comment to us was, you've done all the heavy lifting. Good on you. Can't wait to see the community. So it's nice to hear that from a professional that's not just getting paid to do their job, but can see the vision that it's a great spot. With that said, I thank everybody for their time, and Diane and I respectfully request Madam Mayor and members of council to please consider moving a motion no later than June 16th, if it's possible, so we can move this along. We would very much appreciate it. We thank each and every one of you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, now. You want to say? Something? Okay. Okay, I'm just making sure, because I want to make sure that we get into the public comment, so. Perfect. Just introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So for the record, my name is Chris Challenger. So good morning, Madam Mayor, members of council and staff. A lot of what I was going to say here has already been covered today, but both your planning consultants and our planning consultants. So I will try and cut this down as best as possible in the interest of time for everybody. So I wanted to take a few moments today to speak in support of this proposed Woodview zoning bylaw amendment, official plan amendment, and plan of subdivision. This application is the logical implementation of long-standing growth policies that have already been established through the county and township official plans. The county official plan identifies the hamlets of Woodview and Apsley as North Kawartha as primary residential and commercial growth centers. For decades, municipal planning policies directed future residential and commercial development to these communities, recognizing that they are best positioned to support future growth. So as was mentioned earlier, the county's new official plan, adopted by Peterborough County Council in 2022, includes these lands within the Woodview settlement area. North Kawartha supported that change through the official plan review process, which included extensive public consultations and technical review. This application simply implements that policy direction, while the county completes the policy updates necessary to bring the new official plan into conformity with PPS 2024 and other provincially legislated changes. The site is directly across from the community center, library, fire hall, and recreational facilities. It is located within the Woodview settlement area and adjacent to the services and amenities that require a complete community, with direct access to Highway 28 and other key transportation corridors. From a land use planning perspective, few locations in North Kawartha are better suited to accommodate this type of development. I have also heard a number of concerns raised throughout this process. What gives me confidence in this application is the amount of work that has been undertaken to evaluate those concerns. And I think your planning consultant and our consultant have done a very good job today explaining the number of studies that have been submitted, the types of studies that have been submitted, and what that process for the peer review looks like. I think it's really important to point out. All of the information is available publicly online through the county's website. Any member of the public can go access it at any time. They can review the reports in detail. They can also review any subsequent submissions that we were required to submit based on some of the comments that were given by the county as well. I would also encourage council to consider some of the economic benefits of this proposal, which haven't really been touched on so much today. If approved, the project will represent one of the largest private sector investments North Kawartha has seen in generations. The construction of 58 new homes, servicing infrastructure, and future commercial development will inject tens of millions of dollars locally into our economy. That means work for local contractors, equipment operators, building suppliers, plumbers, carpenters, roofers, and countless other businesses that directly and indirectly support development. These will be good paying jobs that will benefit local families here in our community. The economic benefits do not end when construction is complete. Nearly 60 new homes in future commercial development will generate significant assessment growth and long-term tax revenue to the township. That additional assessment helps support municipal services, facilities, roads, infrastructure, and everything that local citizens rely on. The commercial component is also equally important. It creates opportunities for additional local investment and economic activity within Woodview itself, while providing opportunities for future local entrepreneurs and small businesses. It will help bring services, jobs, and investment closer to home, and further strengthen Woodview as a complete community. Additional residents also strengthen the community in ways that cannot be measured on a balance sheet. More residents mean a larger labor pool, additional customers for local businesses, greater participation in community organizations, and more people available to support local groups, including our volunteer fire department located directly across the street. For a rural municipality that relies heavily on volunteers, this is important. So it has been mentioned a few times today. Again, I would just reiterate and ask that council consider directing staff to bring back a report with a recommendation at the next available council meeting, which I believe is June the 16th. So again, I just want to thank council for their time today and the opportunity to speak with us.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, so we are now going to get to the public comments, and John, I saw your hand up, so I'm gonna get you to go first. So what I'd like to ask, and I'm gonna can't have my phone so I can time people. But I'd like you to just state your name, please, so the clerk can record it, and you're welcome to come up and use the mic, or you just gotta speak loud from wherever you are, but I'll start with you, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, I live across the street from this.
Okay, and what's your
Okay.
name?
My name is Martin Chanta. Okay, I live at 224 Northeast Bay Road. This is gonna be right across the street from. Okay, you are taking away my country setting. If I wanted to move to Lakefield, I would have moved to Lakefield. If I wanted to move to Apsley, I would have moved to Apsley. Why is this being built in Woodview? It's a country area. You cannot just change the whole place, which is what you're gonna do with this. It's way too many homes on a small piece of property. We all have acreage. Can I put like 12 homes on my 4 acres? Is that the future that you're seeing for Woodview? It's a question for you guys. Really, is this the future you're seeing for Woodview? That my 4 acres could be 50 townhouses? No, we came out here for peace and quiet. You're bringing in a lot more people, a lot more noise, a lot more traffic. And no, there has not been enough studies that we've seen that is not going to affect our water system. We all get our water from the ground. You haven't told us anything here, but scared us more. It's too many houses in too small a space. We all have acreage. And all of a sudden, you're really putting a village in front of us. Why? Just because someone has 100 acres? Every other property is 100 acres. Is that going to happen every other property now? That's the door you're opening. Can you please not open it? That's why we elected you, to stop this stuff. This is a country setting. You are taking our country away from us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, who next would like to speak? Yep, please go ahead and state your name.
David Lynch. I live right across, directly across from where the proposed subdivision is gonna be. I understand that the county has approved this because this is why this is going forward. Or is it still under review? Because the word that I got from this young lady was they have to deem this appropriate for the neighborhood. Okay, I don't see it being appropriate for the neighborhood.
And I don't know.
As for what do you call infrastructure? None. Okay, they've got zero infrastructure. They've got a general store that's got a post office in it. We haven't got a gas station. We haven't got anything else. Nobody can walk to a store because they have to walk on a highway to walk to the store. Okay, all right. Then you've got the fact that you've got all these people that have to drive. Okay, they drive everywhere. It's at the best of time. You can ask the fire department there how many accidents we've had on that corner. There was 4 fatalities in 1 month on that corner, Northeast Bay Road, and 28. Okay, don't tell me it's a piece of cake. It's got a good turning lane. It's got no turning lane. When you're coming north on 28, have a look at the turning lane. It's no more than 60 feet long. Do that at 80 kilometers an hour on an icy road, you're in that ditch. And I've seen 3 people pull out of there this year. Okay? All right? One thing you have to remember is, it's not in your backyard. It's in my backyard. You don't want it in front of your house. You don't want it in front of your house. Nobody wants it in front of their house, but it's okay to shove it somewhere else. All right? I moved here.
One at a time, please.
I moved here because I was a citizen. Okay, 1988, I moved here. Okay, I've taken my fair share of moving around. Okay, I found a nice piece of property for myself that I could turn around and retire in. I don't want 150 homes in front of my goddamn front lawn. Okay, I come up my driveway and I'm looking at a industrial lot. They would put a Walmart in there for crying out loud. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. It is. Okay. And as for like all of the studies, it's all fine and dandy that they have all the studies, but they don't really do anything for me. Okay. They'll all say they agree with the study because they got paid to do it. If you didn't get paid, you'd be a little bit iffy. Okay. All right. That's why, like I said, we've elected you people to do this, and this is not where a subdivision should go. Subdivisions belong beside the city, not in the middle of nowhere. Okay?
It's too many homes, it's a small area.
Just, I've got to, one at a time, and you've had a chance, so are you?
Yeah, okay, I may have something more to say a bit in a bit.
Okay, all right, well, we'll make sure that everybody gets at least one time to speak, and just before I forget, yeah, I'm gonna get you in the back, I just wanna make sure, is there anybody online that wants to speak, just put up your little yellow hand if you can, or turn on your video, just, I wanna ensure that everybody who's attending, and not just the folks that are here, but folks that may be online that may wanna speak, so, just with that, okay, lady in the back, good morning, please identify yourself.
I'm Mike Robinson. I am directly involved. I'm at 55 Authorities Bay Road. Sorry, I'm upset. I moved up here as it's the country, away from the city. Fine. 59 houses. Honestly, we're gonna have more crime. I don't even want to know, which I will have to. And our OPP handle 59 more houses. You know, 2 people per house, that's over 100 people. And right now, let's face it, it's multi-family homes because kids can't move out, they can't afford places. So you're gonna have multiple people, which brings up the traffic, our fire department. Right now, we're saving basements instead of houses because that's the only thing we can do. We have an awesome, don't get me wrong, my son is on the fire department. We have an awesome fire department, but they're volunteers. What's gonna happen with 59 more houses? What's gonna happen with my well water? Are you gonna guarantee my well water is not gonna be affected? I have great well water right now, but you're gonna bring all these wells in and it's gonna affect my water. There's so many things. It's gonna affect the Woodview General Store. You're bringing in a commercial building, which will probably be the former store. So our poor Raul, who's just started out, starting to get his business going again after the old owner, he's gonna lose out in all these, and it's gonna go probably to the new one. We can't guarantee it. But yes, and I am worried because this is my home. I moved to Woodview because it was outside of the city. It was quiet. Everybody's a family up there. Everybody knows everybody. And we're gonna lose that. The highway, I was trying to get out 6 o'clock in the morning when I have to go to work. I take 5-10 minutes to get out. Especially the summertime, you can do your traffic review all you want. As it stated in here, it was November. But Craig's the front of my house, we're trying to get across the road with my grandkids to go to the community center. It's a nightmare. I'm scared to death. I'm sorry. Yes, development needs to happen. Development, yes, but not at 59. What's wrong with 10 or 15 houses? Why do we have to have 58, 59? Why do we have to keep growing? We have a beautiful place. I'm worried about my place. What's gonna happen to my taxes? What's gonna happen to my water? I heat my wood, you're bringing in all these people. What's gonna happen there? They're gonna all come and complain about the smoke. And I'm gonna have to put in a whole new heating system. I love Woodview. That's the reason why I lived up here. I don't wanna have to leave it, but bringing in 59 new homes, that may not give me a choice. I may have to leave. Because I do not want to be where there's a subdivision. And I'm sure everybody here is the same way. And I'm sorry for who's ever builders and all that stuff. I agree it would bring in a lot of money for you, but not on our backs.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Oh, please go ahead, identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Jim Davies, Artist Road. Yeah, I've, when I had some of the concerns, I haven't seen any posting about this on the golf course, the local golf course. But I'm just wondering, I certainly agree with your point, is there a way we can compromise somehow? Is there a way that 20 homes can be built there instead of close to 60 homes? It's like you're going from 0 to 100 miles an hour in no time flat with no other services here. I understand there's no post-secondary school in Absent anymore. So people have to bus their kids to Peterborough to go to secondary school. It's almost like you're putting the subdivision here, hoping that the services will follow. I think some services have to be in place before you all of a sudden want close to 60 homes within a small area with you. That's my 2 cents worth. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Two things, there was no post-secondary high school here ever. It was in Lakefield and then they shut it down. And so now our kids are going into Peterborough, right? So yeah, my youngest is as a task right now. So I just want to make sure there was no high school here. I wish there was.
Okay.
But
One
yeah.
other point.
Yep.
Is there something that this subdivision can offer the residents? For instance, I really miss the driving range. Why isn't there a driving range combined with a small housing development? That might be a nice transition into this development. Just
Okay.
yes. Like 2 cents.
Thank you. Okay. And I saw that you in the back and then you, but first Keely, and I did send you an email. I know there's a couple of comments made about that the property wasn't posted, but there is a photo there. The notice was posted right on the front. There is a post. Anyway, I'm gonna try to get the picture up if Keely Ann can do it while we're presenting, just so you are aware that it was done. I want.
What was the date?
Pardon?
What was the date it was posted on?
May 11th. Okay, but it is up there anyway. We do have a photograph of it. Okay, gentlemen in the back, please state your name and then yes, sir, you in front will go next.
Yes, my name is Doug Driscoll. I'm a long-term seasonal resident in North Kawartha, and here's the early 70s. We touched on a lot of the science behind the proposal, and we talked about some of the economic impact, which by and large will be quite positive, given that a lot of the spin-offs, the services that will come after, nobody's going to invest in services before a subdivision, they will actually come afterwards. We also need to talk about some of the softer issues as well. And that would be more people coming to the area will generate money that will not only be invested locally, but will also invite more people for a proposed absolute subdivision at some point in time. The main thing that we need to talk about, hasn't been discussed yet today, is the need for houses. The need for houses in North Kawartha, in the greater area is obvious. It's terrible. I mean, thankfully, we're talking about 58 homes, single dwellings, and not massive, high density areas, which would be a lot worse. So I think we need to compromise when we talk about that. 58 homes may sound like a lot given what we have in the area today. But I also think that that's going to generate an awful lot of revenue, and it's going to help the local economy thrive with those extra services required to support. And again, a lot of the services are in place, whether it's fire department or the parks locally nearby for children to play, etc. I see there's a positive aspect to this as well.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. You don't, yes, please, yep, stand up and identify yourself, please.
Steve Whale there. I question the traffic studies. All I can tell you is I cannot get out Morris Bay Road to Highway 28, make a left turn on a Friday anytime. It's just too busy, you can't do it. There's probably 5 or 6 accidents along that area in front of the store every year, and they use our road, Breach Road, as a detour route, so I can tell you that for sure. And they're also doing about 150 miles an hour on there all the time, so I question those stuff.
Okay, all right, thank you for that. Anybody else? I'm gonna wait, oh, sorry, it was Steve Whale.
Yep.
Okay, okay, hands up, okay, no, I gotta let everybody else go once first, okay? Yes, sir, you in the back.
Like, hold me again. That traffic study is all be accurate. I go up there quite a bit on the weekends, and then it took me 20 minutes last Saturday to get on the highway. No trailer on, just a truck, that's it. And it's always the same. I've also phoned Service Ontario to get in contact to see how many accidents there have been in the last 10 years and fatalities, and there's been quite a few. We hear on the news all the time. You cannot just, it's not an easy accident out there. That's one point. And the other point is that you mentioned you can't put a subdivision with one access, you have to have 2. Where's the second up there? If it was that road allowance that's in front of the existing people that was there, that's a road allowance that the city should, that just probably should have maintained all the way along. That's technically real fire coming out that way. We got 2 or 3 people in there now that have properties that we come up with fire route 35 is that laneway there. It was just assumed, I believe, as a fire route. When I've been coming up this area for over 60 years, and we used to come in by Otis Nordy's place, that's the original town. Otis used to be building inspector as well. He come down that road there. We were in there, it was partially maintained, and it hasn't been in years, but there are still people using it and trying to get through there, and it's maintained as that, so that must be. You have to have a second access. Get into something from that, I think that's what it was, and my name wasn't mentioned on the. Or if there, it's got Moore's property listed, it didn't mention Holden's. But I will list all these concerns that I have, and there's a few other people that might feel. I'll just very well.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm just checking again, is there anybody online that wants to provide a comment? Just in case I put your hand up, your little electronic hand, or turn your video on. Oh, Councillor Lamb's had raised his hand. Hey, good morning, Terry. Just unmute yourself, please.
Good morning. I think a lot of these comments probably
We're
should.
not hearing you. Hang on a second. How come we're not hearing them? That's weird. Have we heard anything through the owl yet? Is the owl on?
I don't hear nothing.
I'm not hearing anything either, and I can't read lips, so.
Well,
Zone microphone.
Yeah, we'll see if we can hear you.
Nope,
my comments are more for
nope,
the.
it's gotta be coming from our owl. Hang on, I'm not hearing you, Terry.
Okay.
Hang on. Is that on?
It is on.
The owl is on. Can we turn it up maybe, or?
Is it Terry's mic that's muted?
I don't, no, he's not
No.
muted anymore. Why can't we hear you, Terry? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, you know what? I don't know if you can go out and come back in.
Can you try again?
Try again?
I can try many times.
No.
It's okay. My comments were more county oriented, so
Alright.
I'll talk to you later.
We're not hearing you, Terry. I
Okay.
don't know what to. Hold up a sign. Sorry about that. I'll try and get this, I don't think we've had anybody come through the owl at this point in the meeting, so I don't even know, like, is the light on this? I don't even. Somebody else could maybe talk. Oh, David Reed raised his hand. David,
Can you hear me?
you can, if you. Go
Can you hear
ahead.
me?
If you're speaking, I can't hear you either. There is a
you
problem
can't hear
with our
me.
owl.
Yeah.
Because is anybody, clearly they're hearing us, but we're not able to hear them.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, just for folks' information, there is an email that's just been posted under the TV screen here. For any comments, anything you want to, your written submissions, it's planning@northkawartha.ca. And you can send those there, so. Okay. Terry, can you try again, please? Can you just unmute yourself?
One more try. You can hear me? Great. My comments were more county oriented, just that, a lot of these comments probably should have been addressed when you were expanding the boundary of Woodville. So I think that's, the council of the day has made a pretty good judgment of expanding the area. So it's, you've already shown that you are supporting some sort of development in that area. So some of these comments probably should have been addressed then. Just my opinion. I think the division of property is appropriate for that area. It's as long as you keep a buffer at the road, nobody's going to see you anyway. So just my comments.
All right, thank you for that, Terry. David Reed, yes, you did raise your hand. Please unmute and you can turn on your video if you wish, and you can go ahead.
Thank you. So I just want to make a comment. I've been listening obviously for the last 2 hours or hour and a half. I live in Burlington and I'm coming up close to the retirement age, and I've been visiting, the Woodview, Apsley area for probably 35 years now. And of course enjoyed it, cottage country and all that, but I haven't seen a lot of growth, if any growth, within that area in that many years. And I think economically, this makes complete sense. I would be interested in looking at some of these homes. It just, gives an opportunity for somebody that can't afford to be on a lake, to be able to, live in a residential area like I do now. I have half an acre in Burlington and quite enjoy it. I like having neighbors. But also, I like going up to the Kawarthas and enjoying time there. I have many friends up there and we've enjoyed many great times. I just think, it's time for that area, whether it's Apsley, Woodview. I think Woodview, the area that was chosen this particular for this particular space is quite unique. And again, of course, with the fire department there and all the community center and everything's kind of set up. And I agree with Mr. Driscoll. A lot of the infrastructure is built after the space has done a subdivision. It's not like you would build there's no Walmart going in, just put it that way. And I just I think it's a great idea, and I appreciate the time to speak, and I hope this pushes through because I very much would enjoy living up there. Thank you for your time.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Is there anybody else online now that we've got it working? I mean, this is your opportunity. I'm not seeing any other indication from anybody. Okay, is there anybody else who hasn't spoken yet that would like to speak on this? Yes, please go ahead, identify yourself.
Good morning. My name's Scott Phillips. My wife and I have cottaged here in this area for 30 years. And 2 years ago, we moved up here permanently now that we are retiring. We love this area of North Kawartha, and we're speaking in support of this project because of the benefits that we think it has to North Kawartha. We have excellent facilities already with the NKCC, the library, the medical building, the public school, restaurants, and other facilities in the area. And now that we're permanent residents, we found in the wintertime that a lot of these facilities seem to be underutilized. They offer great programs. The libraries have kids programs, and we spend a lot of time at the NKCC playing pickleball and enjoying the gym. And there's many times that at the gym, we're the only ones there. We think that the area can afford more people, and the economic spin-off from that, which has been mentioned numerous times, is very valuable. It will increase our tax base. It will allow people to enjoy all these facilities that we have. And they can enjoy what North Kawartha has to offer. We submitted a letter a year ago through the process, so it's already on record, and much of what I've just said was in that letter. But we wanted to have a chance to speak publicly about our support for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Is there anybody else that wants to see, that hasn't spoken? Okay, so we've got you, sir, and then you, ma'am, and then, yeah. Okay.
Oh, I'd be remiss if I didn't say something.
Okay.
It's Kingsley Campbell, it's my wife Barb. We own the property adjacent to all this, just to the north. So at 45 acres. We've been there 45 years. And this is more of an observation. I sort of feel like this is progress. It has been mapped as needing more homes built up here, et cetera, et cetera. And I get that. And I did submit a letter last year, so I'm sure it's on record. And I did receive the notice, so that's great. And I did not read all of those documents because I found out most of them were about 1,000 pages long. They would have been handy if they'd had a little summary of this part. It helped me out a bit. But I'm just making an observation here today, standing up an observation to help you out, whatever. And the first one is that on the water thing, water supply, because we're up at the hill on the adjacent property. And every September, though just in the mid-September, the ground level, the water was dry. So if you're going to be building a lot of these places, and I haven't read the full report, but every September you can run into a problem mid-September. So that's one of my first, and I'm sure the man here will get some notes out of that.
He's right.
And the second one is there is a problem with the roads on the map to the north. The road that goes in from Northern Bay was originally the fire route. It's been mentioned. Sure, hopefully you take that down and take a look at it. And the other one, the fire, and that road is blocked totally, but it's on the map. And the other one is the fire route, which sort of goes through my land and up the end and through to all the camps behind. And it is also, the status needs to be made clear. On those roads, take a look at the map, make sure it's all right. And yeah, it's on the map. It looks like one is Library Road, well, it sort of ended, it's in a swamp. And then that comes out the other end. The skidooers love to use it in the winter. But the other way is the fire route in is actually down my driveway. There's not much I can do about it. Everyone in the back woods needs a way in, but it probably all needs to be slightly formalized. And the last one is, I feel there is probably a question about the traffic, and how you're gonna control that. And maybe that's in one of those 1,000-page reports. But even getting access out about my property, it is a little scary at times. And I can see how people are really a little concerned about this traffic thing. And it'd probably be something you have to make sure everybody gets a clear understanding of how the traffic is envisioned to work. And I do see the issue at Northern Bay, and I do see the issue coming up my driveway to get onto 28. So these are things, observations, things they dive into, because I think there's more going to be occurring in all of this.
Okay.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, hi, sorry, Caitlin Sakosha, I'm with Peterborough County. I just wanted to let everyone know that we are here.
Okay. Oh, you are? I didn't even realize. I knew.
We normally do say a little bit, but then nothing's falling on deaf ears, but that we will, we can stick around and answer any questions. Or if council has questions in terms of, because I know that there's that 2-level system,
right?
And just how it works, because there's been a lot of mention of county this, county that. So yeah, just wanted to let everyone know.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. Is there anybody else that wants to make a comment that hasn't already made a comment?
I'm just looking at the map on you're talking about Library Road. Quick thing about the traffic, when the golf course, my name's Lori Phillips, by the way. When the golf course was there, it was fairly busy. So would there not have been a similar amount of traffic going in? I mean, if there's 56 houses, you have more than 56 people golfing every day. So there must be a bit of a wash. I can't see how that was more, but I don't know. That's it.
Okay, all right. Is there anybody else looking online once more? Anybody else that wants to make a comment? Oh, you go ahead. Sorry. Identify yourself, please.
Yes, Barb Swanson. I just want to ask a question. Is that possible?
Sure. Yep.
To Wayne's comment about the second entry. So you've got the one on Northeast Bay. What are you considering for another entry or exit? You said one in your presentation.
Yeah, so go ahead, Ken.
Chair, there is no second entrance, and I can confirm that the township, both township and county have no concerns with the single entrance for the site. That's the only entrance.
Yeah. And the second question, I know I'm semi-familiar with in Lakefield, that little Winifred Acres. There's a little subdivision there on the water. Would anyone know how many houses are in that division? That might be a comparison.
I don't.
They have a single entrance as well, and it seems they have streets within, like with this, your map, there would be little streets within the plan that you'd have houses on various streets. So no one has any idea about the length of all?
No, I'm sorry, we don't.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Well, and I also can think the idea of possibly a smaller number might be less threatening to people. But the concept itself has been in the plan for a number of years, so.
All right, thank you. Okay. You want your second? I think you're probably gonna be the last, just so you know, I don't see anybody else that has a burning desire to speak.
Young lady and the gentleman back here, a smaller number of homes, estate lots would bring a lot more money to the township because they would be estate lots. People that can afford them will buy them. The lots they're putting here are small lots for single families, okay? At, let's just say at $500,000 for a house, okay? You have to come up with $125,000 deposit right off the hop. Then interest rates, what are they at today? Peterborough does not have many high-paying jobs, so I guarantee both adults will be the ones working, okay? So, and as for employment in Woodview, they've got the general store, okay? The restaurant that's there, Uncle George's, it's closed up, okay? He can't keep a business running on just 5 months of the year, 6 months of the year. And that's the same with any business up here. 5, 6 months of the year, and then it just goes for a dump. Okay, everybody goes home. They don't care about Woodview anymore. They only come up here for their fun on the weekends.
Okay, thank you for that. Thank you. Is there anybody else? I'm aware of the time here. Oh, well, okay, yeah, second comment, yeah.
One thing that hasn't been addressed is noise pollution with the amount. How's the noise gonna be up here with all of our nature and all the animals and big parties every once in a while up here, right? So what's gonna be noise pollution and the air pollution gonna be with our houses up here?
All right, thank you. All right, thank you, everyone, who came today. I really appreciate, council appreciates, hearing this perspective. I want to remind folks, there's that email there, planning@northkawartha.ca. And I believe there's a planning, is it planning at PTBO County.ca? Please, consider what you've spoken today. If you haven't already submitted something in writing, please consider doing so. It's really important. It really will help, the planners to compile everything, pull everything together so they can address those concerns. There is a recommendation in the report that Forbes identified with respect to the deadline for those written submissions. I believe it was June 19th. Is council comfortable with that recommendation? in terms of, that's another 2 weeks basically to allow for written submissions to be provided.
There's been several requests also from the applicant to bring it back to the next meeting. And if we give 10 days instead of 2 weeks to get report in, I would have to ask Forbes, but does that give you then enough time, Forbes, to do a final by the next meeting? It would be excuse me, Mayor, through you, it would be a challenge. Okay, Deputy Mayor, I was thinking to give all the comments bearing reasonable consideration, a bit of follow-up on some of the comments if necessary, that I was scheduling sort of the next meeting as the date served. That's okay with council. I can make the sooner date happen though, if you wish, but it would be. No, I think it would be. Nothing rushed here, nothing. Very good, sir. Okay. It was just a request from the applicant.
No, and technically, I mean, we're putting the agendas together. I mean, it wouldn't even be that amount of time. Like it's really important, I think, and I respect that, you know, you did make that request, but I think the June 19th, date for, deadline for submissions, it would be appropriate. We do meet it in July, so that is our opportunity to then have that stuff come back and, we'll go from there. Okay, so then, do we want to have sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Sort of feeling like deja vu here, but is there any consideration in having a special meeting in July? Because we've already sort of pared back our scheduled meetings.
Well, I guess it would depend on staff in terms of what the schedule looks like and the number of things that are coming forward. We can certainly add on to that, but I don't know what's on the list, so to speak, coming forward. So, I mean, that's always a possibility too, but I don't think we can make that decision right now until we know further sort of what's going on. So, okay.
Okay, so can I ask a couple?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
I was going through the traffic study and it was mentioning a capacity, and it was comparing Northeast Bay Road and Highway 28, and Northeast Bay Road was 750 vehicles per lane per hour, and Highway 28 was only 1,000 vehicles per lane per hour. And that was just something that jumped out at me, that I think there's actually in real life a greater gap in capacity of those two roads than may be considered in calculations. So that was one thing that I noticed. And then the other major concern was the hydrogeological studies, and just something I wanted to confirm. I expect it already happened. But we had the Stantec peer review, and there were questions from Stantec, and then we saw the Cambium answers, but we never actually saw an official sign off from Stantec saying that they've reviewed what Cambium's responded to and agreed with it. And is it the county therefore saying that the hydrogeological study responses to Stantec are sufficient, or is there something from Stantec that's confirming that they are satisfied with the responses?
Yes, through you, Chair.
Yep, just turn that, yeah.
Turn on your mic.
You got it.
Yes, we do get comments from Stantec. The county gets comments directly from Stantec, who's our peer reviewer. And based on Stantec's comments, they will often have, many times, and for all of these studies, in fact, these technical studies, they had comments suggesting more information is required or updating in certain areas. So yes, that back and forth has gone through in virtually all of these studies. And Stantec has, for the most part, given us their approval or recommendation for approval of many of those studies. Yes.
Okay. Oh, of course, yeah.
Just one other comment. Typically, it's a condition of draft approval that the hydrogeologic study be finalized so that there is a final document with all the comments and all the changes, and it's not a paper trail back and forth, that there's a final document that then gets referenced in the final subdivision agreement. So it's quite common, Councillor, that you have small loose ends that haven't been tidied up yet, but they get done as part of the finalizing of the subdivision process and not so much with the official plan and the zoning.
Thank you for that. Any other questions? I'm sorry, I should have asked council. I'm sorry, we're here to listen. I don't want us to talk today, but certainly ask questions. All right. Thank you once again, everybody who attended. I want to remind folks, please submit. You have until June 19th, which is the deadline. And with that, I'm going to declare that we are out of statutory public hearing, and I'm going to declare. Oh, do we have to have the motion to approve the date? Would you like a motion to make it specific? No, we're just stating it right now. It's there, it's in the minutes. Everybody, you've heard it. Let your friends know, everybody, if they're interested in writing. I'm declaring we're going out of statutory public hearing, and I'm declaring a recess for a bathroom break. Thank you.